As you just heard, there are new allegations coming out today of sexual assault aimed at Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Marcia Coyle, who was the chief Washington correspondent for the National Law Journal and a NewsHour regular, she broke the story and she joins us now. Marcia, welcome to the program. So you cover the Supreme Court.
Yes.
How did this come to your attention?
Well, the evening of the day that all of us were reading about Donald Trump's audio tape in which he talked about how he treated women, Morris Smith, who is a lawyer and executive at a natural gas company in Alaska, put a post on her Facebook page in which she recounted 3 instances of inappropriate touching, even sexual assault in her life. And one of the incidents that she mentioned involved Justice Clarence Thomas. Back in 1999, when she was just shy of her 24th birthday, she was a Truman Foundation scholar here in Washington, D.C., and she was at a dinner party hosted by her boss at the time at the foundation, and Justice Thomas was there with some other guests. She claimed that he groped her at that dinner. A friend of hers sent a copy of the Facebook post to me in a private Twitter message. And after discussing it with my editors, we felt we should open a line of communication with her. I called her with no commitment to publish anything to see if she wanted to talk. She did not seek us out, and we did not go hunting for her.
So you say this was a dinner party. It involved the group that she was part of. Her employer was having the dinner. How did she happen to be next to, adjacent to the justice?
She was called a resident scholar. She was spending a year in which she basically helped the foundation with its activities. And part of her unofficial duties was to be at these dinner parties that the director of the foundation used to network. This was a special dinner in which the foundation was planning to give an award to a Kansas state legislator, and Justice Thomas was invited because he was going to give the award the next day at the Supreme Court. She claims that she was there doing preparations and doing final setting of the table for the dinner. Most of the guests, she said, were in the kitchen with her boss, who was a gourmet chef. When she was setting the table next to the justice is when she claims that he reached out and grabbed her with his right arm about 5 to 6 inches below the waist and squeezed her several times while asking her, you know, where was she going to sit? He thought she should sit next to him. She eventually broke away.
And that night, she didn't say anything to anyone at the party.
No.
But she did later.
Well, based on our conversations that we had almost daily, while listening to her, I also began to report out to see if there was any corroboration. And so I found that she had had 3 roommates, housemates that summer in D.C., and I found them and interviewed each of them individually. And even though they were fuzzy, I mean, it's been a long time, on the actual details of what she said, they all remembered her telling them about inappropriate behavior by the justice and how they really just didn't know what to do. I also found a 4th person who was the scholar that summer who also remembered her telling him about the incident shortly afterwards.
Now, Marcia, you have asked the justice about this. Tell us about that.
I approached my editors and I thought we had enough to approach him on Tuesday, and I walked a letter over to the court public information office in which I told him specifically what she was claiming in her own words. And then later that evening, I followed up with a series of questions. He finally did get back to us late Wednesday afternoon. And at that point, he had just one sentence in response. He said, the claim is preposterous and it never happened.
And are you aware, Marcia, of any other allegations involving Justice Thomas, other than the Anita Hill original?
No, as I said in the story, there have been no other public allegations against the justice since the Anita Hill hearings in 1991.
So where does this go from here?
I think people should read the story. As I often say here on the NewsHour, when I talk about decisions, I try to give as much information as possible so that people can make up their own minds about what the court has done. This was a thoroughly reported and carefully edited story, and I just suggest they read it and make their own decision. And we'll see. There's been some reaction. The justice has very loyal supporters.
Right.
Some of them have come forward with very skeptical comments about the story.
Marcia Coyle with the National Law Journal, thank you for coming to talk to us about it.
Thank you, Judy.